John Wayne had 7 children from 3 different marriages. When he died in 1979, his estate was worth about $685 million. Many people believe a father would divide his money equally among his children, but he chose a different method. He created a system based on age. The older children received more money, while the younger ones received less. His youngest son, Ethan, was still a teenager at the time, and compared to his older brothers and sisters, he received very little. One of his children was given control over the entire family business. In another case, he made sure that his daughter's husband could never touch her share of the inheritance. These choices felt personal. It seemed less like a business decision and more like a man making final statements about the people in his life. To understand why, it helps to look at what really happened inside his family over the years. John Wayne was born as Marion Robert Morrison on May 26, 1907, in Winterset, Iowa, at 224 South 2nd Street. He was a very large baby, weighing around 13 pounds, and the local newspaper even mentioned his birth because of his size. However, being big did not protect him from teasing. His first name, Marion, sounded feminine to many people at that time. Other children noticed and made jokes about it. The teasing stayed with him and slowly pushed him toward activities that made him feel strong and respected. He turned to sports and tried to build a tough image so that people would see him differently. When he was 4 years old, his younger brother was born. The new baby was given the middle name Robert, which had originally been Marion's middle name. As a result, Marion's middle name was changed to Mitchell, taken from his grandfather, Marion Mitchell Morrison, who had served as a Union soldier during the Civil War. It was not a dramatic legal change, but it still hurt. He felt replaced and believed his younger brother received more warmth and attention. Even later in life, when a studio publicist accidentally wrote his middle name as Michael, he did not rush to correct it. He actually liked the sound of it. Throughout his life, his name kept changing, and it reflected his desire to shape his identity. In 1911, when he was just 4 years old, his father Clyde developed serious lung problems. The family believed he needed a warmer and drier climate to survive, so they moved to Southern California. At first, they tried running a small ranch in the Mojave Desert. Life there was difficult, but young Marion adapted. He rode horses, attended a small school, and swam in irrigation ditches for fun. When the ranch failed, the family moved again, this time to Glendale, California, where his father found work as a pharmacist. Money was always tight. Marion worked from a young age, delivering medicine and selling newspapers. He learned that hard work was necessary to survive. During this time, something small happened that changed his life. He had an Airedale Terrier that he loved deeply. Every day he walked to school with the dog. A local fireman began calling the dog Big Duke and Marion Little Duke. Over time, the nickname Duke stayed with him. Some versions of the story mix up who was Big Duke and who was Little Duke, but the important part is that the name felt strong. After years of being teased about Marion, the name Duke gave him confidence. It sounded powerful and matched the person he wanted to become. As a teenager, he grew to about 6 feet 4 inches tall. While some stories exaggerate his size, most reports say he weighed around 170 pounds in high school. He attended Glendale High School, where he played football and showed leadership skills. He served as class president and worked as the sports editor of the school newspaper. His football team even reached important championship games in 1924. He was not considered an extraordinary athlete, but he had presence, determination, and a strong desire to prove himself. In 1925, he entered the University of Southern California on a football scholarship. He had hoped to attend the Naval Academy but was not accepted. USC became his opportunity. For a short time, everything seemed to be going well. However, in the summer of 1926, he went body surfing near Newport Beach and suffered a serious shoulder injury. The injury prevented him from playing football at the required level. He was afraid to tell his coach the full truth about how it happened. Eventually, he lost his scholarship, and without financial support, he had to leave school. one accident changed the direction of his future. After leaving college, he took whatever work he could find. He worked at Fox Film Corporation as a prop man, moving furniture and equipment. He also worked as an extra in films and sometimes did stunt work. It was not glamorous work, but it kept him close to the film industry. During this time, director John Ford noticed him. Ford saw something special in him, not formal training but a natural presence on screen. He began giving him small roles and slowly helped him learn. In 1930, director Raoul Walsh cast him in the lead role of The Big Trail. The studio also gave him a new name, John Wayne, which sounded strong and simple. The film had a large budget and used an early widescreen process. Unfortunately, it was released during the Great Depression, and many theaters did not have the equipment to show it properly. The movie failed at the box office. Instead of launching his career, it pushed him back into low-budget Western films for nearly a decade. For years, he made many small Westerns. He worked constantly but did not gain major recognition. Then John Ford returned with a new opportunity. Ford insisted on casting him as the Ringo Kid in Stagecoach, even when producers wanted a more famous actor. Ford believed in him. The film was shot partly in Monument Valley, which was not commonly used for movies at the time. The location gave the film a powerful and memorable look. When John Wayne first appears in Stagecoach, it feels like a true arrival. His character, Ringo, is an escaped prisoner seeking revenge for his family's murder. He is not a simple hero. He is tough but also emotional and driven by pain. By the end of the film, he wins the final gunfight but still keeps his promise to surrender. However, he is given a chance to leave town with Dallas and begin a new life. The film made him a star and began a long partnership with John Ford. While his career improved, his personal life became complicated. In 1933, he married Josephine Saenz in a ceremony at Loretta Young's home. They had 4 children together. Josephine had strong Catholic values and wanted a stable, loyal marriage. However, fame brought attention and temptation into his life. Their differences grew over time, and they divorced on December 25, 1945. Ending a marriage on Christmas Day showed how serious the problems had become. During the early 1940s, he had an affair with actress Marlene Dietrich. During World War II, Dietrich was under FBI observation because of wartime concerns, and she also bravely entertained troops near battle zones. Wayne admired her courage. At the same time, he felt the weight of not serving in the military himself. When the United States entered World War II in 1941, he was 34 years old with 4 children. He applied for a family deferment and remained in Hollywood. Some people later criticized him for not serving. The criticism hurt him deeply, especially since he often played soldiers and patriotic characters in films. Shortly after his first divorce, he married Esperanza Chata Bauer in January 1946. The marriage quickly became troubled. Alcohol, jealousy, and frequent arguments filled their home. Chata's mother also moved in, which increased tension. Wayne later described the relationship as chaotic and compared it to mixing dangerous chemicals. There were accusations of cheating and even physical fights. Friends and relatives felt uncomfortable around them because the conflicts could become explosive. They had no children together, which added another strain to the marriage. Jealousy became especially intense during the filming of Angel and the Badman in 1946. Chata believed Wayne was involved with his co-star Gail Russell. Both actors denied the rumors, but Chata remained convinced. The arguments continued for years. They separated in 1952 and finally divorced in 1954 after bitter disputes over money. The issue of World War II continued to follow him. Although film studios argued that his movies supported national morale, critics accused him of avoiding service. Director John Ford, who had served in the military, reportedly pressured him about it. Over time, Wayne became even more outspoken about patriotism, perhaps trying to prove something to himself and others. Eventually, he married his third wife, Pilar Palit, in 1954. They had 3 children together. This marriage lasted until his death, though it also faced challenges. By the time he passed away in 1979, he had built a powerful image as a strong, patriotic American hero. Yet behind that image was a complicated man shaped by childhood teasing, family struggles, missed opportunities, and personal regrets. When he divided his estate using an age-based formula, it reflected the patterns of his life. He had always measured people and situations through his own experiences of fairness and strength. Giving more to older children and limiting access to certain spouses may have been his way of controlling things one last time. His decisions surprised many, but they were consistent with a man who spent his entire life trying to shape how the world saw him. On the night filming ended, there was a celebration party. John Wayne came home very late. What could have been a simple argument turned into something much more serious. Esperanza, known as Chata, was drunk and extremely angry. In her rage, she picked up a gun and fired at him. The bullet narrowly missed his head. It was a terrifying moment that could have ended in tragedy. The next day, she begged him to forgive her. She promised to stop drinking and to behave like a proper wife. But trust cannot return so easily after a gun has been fired. Fear stays in the mind, and doubt settles deep in the heart. Outside their home, rumors continued to spread. After that same party, reports claimed that Wayne insisted on driving his co-star Gail Russell home, even though he had also been drinking. It was said that they visited more than one bar before stopping for food in Santa Monica. Whether the rumors were true or not, they fueled Chata's jealousy. She did not keep her suspicions private. She hired a private investigator to follow them and look for proof. What began as a private marital problem quickly became public gossip in Hollywood. People whispered about it as if it were entertainment. Then the situation took another painful turn. In May 1952, Wayne discovered that Chata was having an affair with Conrad Nicky Hilton Jr., a wealthy socialite. The betrayal felt even worse because Hilton had been staying as a guest in Wayne's own home. Wayne reacted immediately. He ordered Chata's mother to leave the house. Stories also spread that her mother had a questionable past in Mexico, which only added to the humiliation. Now Wayne was the one who felt betrayed and embarrassed. He filed for divorce in May 1952, and the separation began a long and very public legal battle. For more than 2 years, newspapers printed negative headlines about their fights and financial disputes. The divorce was finally completed on November 1, 1954. Chata returned to Mexico and lived quietly with her aunt for the rest of her life. What had started as a quick marriage ended in a long, painful mess. On the very same day his divorce became official, Wayne married his third wife, Pilar Palit, a young actress from Peru. The wedding took place in Hawaii in a private garden ceremony. The speed of this marriage made many people believe he was trying to escape his past by rushing into a new future. He was 47 years old, and Pilar was only 26. They had first met in Peru in 1952 while he was preparing for a film project. At that time, she was still married to her first husband, Richard Weldy, an airline executive. They met again in Los Angeles in 1953, and Wayne later signed her to a contract with his production company. However, their relationship also began under pressure. While Wayne was still legally married to Chata and dealing with divorce problems, Pilar discovered she was 3 months pregnant. A pregnancy scandal during that time could have damaged Wayne's reputation and harmed his divorce case. Wayne told her he would support whatever decision she made, but the situation was heavy and complicated. Pilar was a devoted Catholic, and the decision deeply troubled her. In the end, she chose to have an abortion to protect Wayne's public image. The emotional weight of that choice stayed with her for years. Adjusting to life in Hollywood was also difficult for her. She moved from Peru into a world of loud parties, heavy drinking, and constant public attention. She felt isolated and struggled with depression and sleeplessness. Doctors prescribed sleeping pills, which slowly became a daily dependency. Before she realized it, she was relying on them regularly. While Wayne's personal life was filled with drama, another danger was developing quietly in the background. In the mid-1950s, Howard Hughes decided to film The Conqueror in Snow Canyon, Utah, about 137 miles downwind from the Nevada Atomic Test Site. At that time, nuclear weapons were being tested in the desert, and radioactive fallout traveled through the air. The cast and crew worked there from June to August 1954, unaware of the serious risk. The danger could not be seen or smelled. Even more shocking, Hughes later transported about 60 tons of dirt from Utah back to Hollywood so that studio scenes would match the outdoor location. This meant that the possible contamination did not remain in the desert. It followed them back to California. In later years, many people connected to the film developed cancer. Reports claim that out of around 220 cast and crew members, 91 later suffered from cancer, and 46 died from it. These numbers did not even include local workers and extras. The pattern became impossible to ignore. In 1963, director Dick Powell died of lymphoma. That same year, actor Pedro Armendariz, who had been diagnosed with cancer, took his own life rather than continue suffering. Actress Susan Hayward died of cancer in 1975. Agnes Moorehead died in 1974. Even years later, cancer remained linked to members of the cast. John Wayne himself developed lung cancer in 1964. He had also been a heavy smoker, which increased his risk. On September 16, 1964, doctors removed his entire left lung and 2 ribs during a major surgery at Good Samaritan Hospital in Los Angeles. He was 57 years old. The operation was dangerous, but he survived. Later that year, he publicly announced that he had lung cancer and encouraged others to seek early medical tests. He turned his illness into a message about awareness. For a time, he seemed to recover well. In 1970, he finally won the Academy Award for Best Actor for his role as Rooster Cogburn in True Grit. He had made nearly 170 films and had been nominated only once before. During his acceptance speech, he joked that if he had known wearing an eye patch would win him an Oscar, he would have worn one sooner. The audience laughed warmly. It was a proud moment in his long career. However, controversy followed him again in 1971. In an interview with Playboy magazine, he made offensive remarks about race and about gay people. Decades later, when those comments resurfaced online in 2019, they caused strong public criticism. Some defended him by saying he was a product of his time, while others believed the statements were unacceptable. His legacy became complicated, balancing admiration for his film career with criticism of his personal views. At home, his marriage to Pilar continued with ups and downs. They had 3 children together, Isa, John Ethan, and Marissa. But Pilar's emotional struggles worsened. There were reports of a serious incident in Louisiana where she harmed herself while hallucinating. Wayne arranged for medical help to bring her back to California, but he continued working on his film. Throughout his life, he often placed work above personal crisis. Although he and Pilar separated in 1973, they never officially divorced before his death. There were rumors that one of his deepest emotional relationships may have been with actress Maureen O'Hara. Some believed he loved her differently, but they never married. Later, he formed a close relationship with his secretary, Pat Stacey. She stayed by his side during his final years, and he included her in his will. In 1978, his health declined again. He underwent open heart surgery in April and recovered. But in January 1979, what was expected to be gallbladder surgery turned into a major operation. Doctors discovered widespread cancer and removed his entire stomach along with surrounding lymph nodes. Despite the pain, he continued to fight. He received messages from world leaders, including Queen Elizabeth II and President Jimmy Carter. Near the end of his life, faith became important to him. Although he had been surrounded by Catholic influences through his wives and children, he had never officially converted. Shortly before his death, he reportedly chose to join the Catholic Church. 2 days later, on June 11, 1979, he died at UCLA Medical Center at the age of 72. His funeral was private, attended only by close family members. he wished for a quiet goodbye away from public attention. However, after his death, the details of his estate brought his family back into the spotlight. Court documents valued his estate at approximately $685 million. Instead of dividing it equally among his children, he used an age-based formula. Older children received significantly larger shares, while younger ones received less. His youngest son, Ethan, who was still a teenager, received far less than his adult siblings. His eldest son, Michael, was given control of Batjack Productions, the company Wayne had founded in 1952. This gave Michael authority over his father's film rights and future income from those properties. Control of the company meant influence over the legacy itself. One of the most surprising details involved his wives. His first wife, Josephine, received a trust that provided monthly payments for the rest of her life. Meanwhile, Pilar, his third wife and still legally married to him at the time of his death, received nothing from the estate. This shocked many people and was widely reported in newspapers. He also left money to Pat Stacy and another longtime secretary, which made Pilar's exclusion even more painful. There was also a specific legal clause preventing his daughter's husband, Donald Levon, from ever accessing her inheritance. Even if she passed away, the money would not go to him. This showed clear personal disapproval written directly into legal terms. Additionally, the will contained a no-contest clause stating that any family member who challenged it in court could lose their share entirely. In the end, even his will reflected the complex man he had been. His life was filled with strength, success, pride, regret, love, anger, loyalty, and conflict. He was a legendary actor admired by millions, yet inside his private world there were wounds that never fully healed. His final decisions ensured that even after his death, the conversations about him would continue.